Yo, what's up, Lathe? How you doing, brother? Greetings and salutations. No, man. So I wanted to make you a little video, specifically for you and hell, anybody else that wants to get into Souls or Souls-like games. I know you had to take an extensive break for life, and life be lifing, as we know. And I know with you coming back to streaming, you're eventually going to be getting back into like all the games that you've been promising to stream. And I know one of those is Lies of P. And again, Souls and Souls-like games can be very intimidating with their combat systems. So I decided to make you a video to kind of help you out. To hopefully not make everything as overbearing, because Lies of P is a much different Souls-like in the case that you now have different difficulty settings that can be chosen from, as well as you might hear people asking you what kind of builds, things of that nature. And I'll get into builds a little bit later, but I wanted to go over just this video is for you. And again, anybody else who's wanting to get into Souls or Souls-like, Lies of P was the game that got me into Souls or Souls-like. Souls and Souls-likes. So this game always has a very special place for me. Just so you know, I beat the DLC last night. That's when I'm making it. Currently, you're live and I have you up on my other screen. And just seeing you live and knowing that you're coming back made it to where I wanted to make this video for you. Knowing that you're coming back in full force. So let's go ahead and get over into what's going on with this. So I'm not going to do continue. We're going to go ahead and go into a new game. This is a much different looking background than what you will see when you start playing. Now, personally, I will say this all the time. I suggest you attempt this on mouse and keyboard. And I'm going to give you some reasons why. So when you're doing it on a controller, and the only reason I know this is because I've actually been off stream playing a game on controller that's a Souls game, Bloodborne, because they don't have a damn port for it yet. So with that, you have to sometimes get into secret menus or get into additional pouches and things like that. And you have to press down on the D-pad and then triangle and all types of other stuff. However, when you're dealing with a mouse and keyboard, and I know people are just like, oh, you're trying to make yourself suffer. And I don't believe that at all. I believe that it's actually far simpler and far more easier than people give credit for. You can literally just have it hotkeyed to one of your keys. And I'm going to go over that here in a minute with how I set things up and go through the difficulty settings, right? And we're going to look at it together. So for me personally, because I started this game a couple of weeks after it came out initially in 2023, I was always set to Legendary Stalker mode. So Legendary Stalker mode is hardcore mode, but for old Lies of P veterans that have been playing it for a bit, and mind you, I'm not a veteran anyways when it comes to Lies of P. I'm just some type of dumbass that just so happened to have been playing the game for a longer time and has gotten fairly decent with it. There are 3 difficulty settings that you can choose from, and it's all right here. You have Butterfly's Guidance, Awakened Puppet, and Legendary Stalker. And again, Legendary Stalker is that traditional Souls-like difficulty, right? And it states it right there. The standard difficulty for players who enjoy tense action games. You can experience the story while enjoying challenging combat. The difficulty can be changed at any time in the settings menu. I strongly strongly tell you, because if you start playing this and you start having people that are very accustomed to Souls, gameplay, that start coming into your chat and start, do it on a different, harder difficulty, you go at your pace and at your difficulty, right? Because you also have Awakened Puppet, an easy difficulty for players who enjoy lighthearted action games. You can experience the story while lighter combat challenges. And then the easiest difficulty, Butterfly's Guidance, a very easy difficulty for players who want a story-focused experience. You can experience the story without being impeded by combat. Now, Lathe, and whoever else watches this, I'm going to tell you this just straight up, right? Don't, I'm going to say this one more time, don't listen to other people that say that you're not playing a Souls-like game if you're not playing on anything besides Legendary Stalker or the hardest difficulty. Again, you are playing a Souls-like game. Do it to your comfortability. Again, do it to your comfortability. However, I do challenge you, after you've played for a while, if you think it is too easy, try the next difficulty up. Or if it's just right for you, leave it there. Or hell, if you chose a difficulty that maybe Awakened Puppet and you're seeing that, you know what, this is too difficult for me, just go into your settings and go to Butterfly's Guidance. This specific Souls-like game, has a beautiful story that I want you to experience. Mind you, I beat the DLC of Lies of P Overture last night, right? And I did it on Legendary Stalker difficulty. I have not struggled on a game, on a Souls or Souls-like game, since I first started playing. And yes, it brought back old memories, old traumas, everything. But that's the way I started. It did not take away with the beautiful story that the developers are trying to create. And I would rather my friends, people that just find this fucking video, enjoy this amazing story than get caught up on traditional Souls and Souls-like difficulty settings. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do Butterfly's Guidance. It does take a minute to load stuff. Now, again, I'm going to show you what I do for mouse and keyboard. If you choose to, you want to hear this.
Geppetto's puppet, we need your help.
So at this very beginning, in the first minute, don't think you are, I have boss rematch mode because I've beaten all the chapter bosses. They do not have a rematch mode for every single boss, specifically not all of the stalkers. And you'll understand what a stalker is once you start playing the game. And it's not that kind of stalker, I'm going to hide in the closet and see what you're doing.
I've been looking all over for you.
I also have all of the additional items because I'm a brat. I'm not going to lie. Other people will say stuff differently. Right? So let's get you to the point where you can choose starting classes, right? I started on Butterfly's Guidance, and you can easily go to settings, go to gameplay, and it's the first option right here. It's Butterfly's Guidance, just to show you there's nothing that hurts with starting off on the lowest difficulty, right? There's nothing. Don't let anybody freaking shame you or anybody for starting on a difficulty when you've never played games like this. For me, normally I would start just whatever, and most Souls and Souls-like games do not have it.
Jiminy too. But we have to hurry. My name is Sophia. Please come to Hotel Krat, and I'll explain what's happening. Jiminy, please escort him to the hotel.
So this kind of goes over your belt solution. I have it controlled with my rotator on my mouse, right? My scroll wheel. It's going to give you generic ones, but it can go for however you have it set, right? Check items, and you'll see where your items are right here, right? If you want to go ahead and light up the stuff, just go in there, click it, right click it, press use, and it creates a nice little light. Now, I will say this. You will always want to keep this lit because it will help you identify things in game. And you'll understand that halfway through chapter 2. I don't want to spoil too much. Mind you, I just kind of wanted to make this video for you to go ahead and kind of get you started and get you through the first chapter.
It'll be helpful on your way to the hotel.
Now, builds are really important. So you're just going to see that it's going to start off like this, where it says Path of the Cricket is balance, Path of the Bastard is dexterity, and Path of the Sweeper is strength. And you're like thinking, what the hell is all that stuff? What does it mean? If you press F, it's going to give you the stat breakdown. All right, and I'll go ahead and explain the stats a little bit. So, vitality is your health, right? Vigor is your stamina. Capacity is how much you can carry. Motivity is strength. Technique is dexterity. And advance is, think about your, like, int and things of that nature, because that deals with builds up of particular status effects. With this being your first game, I would prioritize vitality, and vitality. So I would suggest you going with Way of the Sweeper, because that has 11 vitality, 5 vigor, 11 capacity, 11 motivity, 5 technique, 6 advance. So select it. So E to open the door. Now you notice that his arm is a metal arm. The more you go through the game, the more you will see get items in game called Legion plugs that will give you a vast array of different arms, from electric ones, fire-based ones, grappling hook style ones. They're all pretty cool, right? I have my lock on just clicking that, right? Now, light attack is left mouse click. Heavy attack is right mouse click. All right, I'm just going to kind of let him over here, because normally block is on shift. I don't have it on shift. I have it because my mouse, the way it is, it has an additional couple of buttons on the side. So I have it, as you can see where it lights up, on mouse button 4. Now, I wanted to kind of go over to you. You can either just block and take subtle damage, and you have a thing called the rally system. So when you first get hit, it's going to be kind of a pinkish yellow or a pinkish gray bar that you see that's kind of depleting because that's the health that is going. But if you make a hit back, you regain your health. And certain weapons have a better health regain. Certain weapons have a horrible health gain regain. So let me show you how I have things set up on mine. So I use the extra bag for the pulse cells whenever we get those, which is here in a second. The grindstone for... Wait, where'd it go? The grindstone. And then I unequip those because that's essentially those red buttons, these last resorts. You kill yourself or you... and go back to the nearest stargazer. We'll get to that here in a minute. So I also normally don't carry that, but it still stays on my belt, right? And then for everything else in here, I use for throwables and consumable. It just makes it easier for me because all I have to do is scroll up, scroll down. I'm in T, and just depending on how I'm scrolling, makes it to where I go through my entire list, either going up or down, and then I select what I want by pressing R. Now, I don't have anything in there, so I don't have to worry about it. Now, I want to kind of use the Legion arm I have on mouse button 5. And you'll notice that the little bar at the down there that says left arm of steel, some of the bar went down. You're not destroying it, you're not breaking it. Okay, now that that's done. So you're not breaking it, you're not busting it, you're not doing anything. You have a specific gas gauge, essentially, that allows you to know how much capacity or how much abilities do you have with that arm. And when you use an ability with your arm, such as this, it uses some of your gas. So let's go ahead and go in here. This is a pretty simple area, at least for me, not everybody. I remember when I first played this, I spent 3 days alone just on this area. So pulse cells. What are pulse cells? If you've seen Dark Souls 1 player, Dark Souls 2, or any Souls-like, you'll see here about Estus Flask. This is an Estus Flask, right? Now there's a cool thing. So you have 3 different pulse cells to use to regain health. And it's only a limited amount of health. However, until you start filling up your P organ with different abilities, it will not automatically charge by itself. What it does do, for every successful hit that you make, it gives a little bit of a charge back. Think about like kinetic energy. So let's go ahead and take on this guy. I want to show you something, right? So these guys are pretty easy. You can dodge, right, by pressing spacebar. Does a little jump. Or you can try and perfect block. And perfect block will do things like that. Now, what you want to do is wait for when the arm starts to come back. You also want to make sure your weapon is always sharp. Still got one more guy. With the sharper, because what you have this thing is that every hit you do takes away some of the durability from your weapon. The way you regain your durability is sharpening it. Now again, that grinder I have on 2, so all I do is press 2. What I want is to have the pulse cells on 1. So all I got to do is just go from W to 1 or 2. I'm not going to press 1 because I don't want to use my pulse cell. All right. And that's easy. Instead of having to go into like press some type of multi-button thing, that's all I have to do. Now, explore everywhere, right? Guarding, you can block enemy attack, you can block enemy attacks. If your guard is successful, your character will take reduced damage, but it will consume stamina. The reduced damage will be transferred to guard regain. Guard regain accumulates by but that gradually decreases over time. While you have a guard regain, you can attack your enemies to regain your health, your HP, which is the rally system I was talking about. Next, for perfect guards. If a guard is successful, and you'll see it blurp like that, right before being hit, it triggers a perfect guard. When a perfect guard is successful, you will not receive damage, only stamina is consumed. You can use perfect guards to destroy an enemy's weapon or put the enemy in a staggerable status. So you just have to press down and hold spacebar to run. Didn't. Let's see if I can get a perfect guard off. See? And it busted. I guarded enough that you see it. Now, I want to go ahead and kind of point out the area at the top right of the screen. You're going to see like a blue fragment with numbers that are increasing. That's your ergo. There's also a bar underneath there, and you'll see this is a Souls or Souls-like game. See that guy right there? Can't select him yet because you don't know he's there. There are hidden creatures all over the place like this. But that tells you how much ergo you've collected. Now mine just went up to 376, right? Let's sharpen that. You always want to keep your weapon at full durability. The less durability you have on a weapon, the less damage it deals. You're going to see those lines. Just right click and it does its fatal attack. Now mind you, that's a fatal attack from behind. There are certain abilities that you can access later that will give you health back. Now, again, I'm not some type of veteran. I'm not some type of like person that goes ahead and is perfect. I also suggest picking up everything like that. You'll see things like passenger's notes. I'm going to let you read that later once you start playing. Picking up everything and reading it gives you the ability to get more of the story than what you do from character. More backstory, more lore. And you know I love lore. Now, I make it seem really easy, but we're on butterfly guidance. And you know what? Start off there. See how you feel. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. See, damn ergo fragment. And later on, once we get to our first Stargazer, I'm going to show you what you can do with your extra ergo or ergo chunks like that, right? Lock devices. There are doors and ladders all throughout Krat that are locked by devices. You can unlock these doors or go down ladders to create shortcuts. Shortcuts are imperative. Again, exploring everywhere matters. Fable Catalyst, you haven't gotten to Fable yet, but essentially the blue line right below your stamina, which is green, is your Fable charge up. Fables allow you to do certain things, certain special attacks. Now, this is what you would call an elite enemy, and you have to beat this defeat this elite enemy before you can even go to the first Stargazer. I just like breaking their weapons if I can. Staggerable. You'll see his, just like it says here, you'll see their health bar start glowing. What you have to do is get a charged attack to hit. And it has to be that final swing of the charge attack to hit to make him give you the opportunity to do a fatal attack. Right? So you go there, you're going to see where it's flashing like that. Light attack. Heal. The AI is not working all that great today. See? I'm still making the guards, but they're not perfect guards. Yeah, broke his weapon. Okay, we can stop playing around with him. You're going to get the Krot Central Station main entrance key and the Workshop Union caliber, right? Now, what you got was allowing you to get to the next little area where you get to your first Stargazer. But you also got an item for defense, right? So you'll go to your menu, which just by pressing escape, it's your equipment. You click over here, you can see where it says defense parts. You see where it's like Workshop Union basic frame. You now have an upgrade. Workshop Union lightweight frame. Now you're going to notice something. Weight is going up and it's going to show it by an orange color. So you're going from up 1.8 units of weight, whatever it uses in this one. But your physical damage reduction goes from 4.2 to 11.61. So we equip that. And if you look right here, this also tells you how much weight you can have. Your maximum weight with your current capacity of 11 is 78.8 units. Now, look, it's at 46% with that current one on. If we go there, back to the first one that we come automatically coming with, it's at 44%. But we want more damage reduction. Now, just so you see here, this is your ergo, right? That's your souls. We have 2,193. But if you look right here in this area, it says we have a 2 with a diamond. That's actually how many levels that we have currently with our ergo. You'll also notice with the weapon that we have, which is the Great Sword of Fate Blade, it's a slashing stabbing weapon, which is equal. So if you look over there at the weapon, it's a slashing stabbing weapon with a motivity heavy aspect, because motivity is B, goes all the way up to an S scaling. So you have S, A, B, C, D, and a technique of D. So you're going to, as long as you're putting points into motivity, you are going to have better damage with that weapon. Now you're going to get other parts, converters, cartridges, and liners. I suggest now the liners you have to buy. I suggest doing those as you can. They are not terribly expensive later game, but it helps with damage reduction as long as you have capacity high enough. Right? So let's run. And again, I run by just holding down spacebar, and we run, and you can see our stamina just draining with a little bar, and it's going to slow you down and then let your stamina regain. Now we can get through this door, use Krot Central Station key. Now normally you can run through this area in a much shorter time, but I'm talking and I'm doing stuff, so it's taking more time. Stargazer. Use a Stargazer for full recovery of your HP and stamina, as well as charging your pulse cells. Another thing that it does is if you have things in your storage unit, your storage shelf, and you've run out of items, it automatically restocks them once you get to a Stargazer, activate it, and use it, as well as recovering all durability of a weapon. So let's press the Stargazer. You're going to hear some chat.
It's called a Stargazer.
Now I have it for automatic advance. I just did that by activating F, and it keeps it for the entire game. So use storage. It's going to show you everything that you have in your storage area. This is what you have in your bag. This is what you have in your area of your storage area. Like things like Sawtooth Wheel, Fable Catalyst. If you have them in your storage area and you run out of them in your bag, it automatically refills this when you get to a Stargazer. We'll go ahead and level up. So you'll just do level up using held ergo by pressing C. You can go ahead and turn it into active ergo you can use. You see I have dim ergo fragments are worth 100 apiece. I just press over. I'm going to use 2. Spacebar. I now have 2393, which is 3 levels worth. Again, I suggest you focus on vitality first and getting that up to level 20, and then working on vigor, getting that up to 20, while also working on capacity and motility. What I would suggest is just before the first boss, trying to max out your vitality with as much as you can, and then doing for everything else 2 vigor, 1 capacity, 1 motility, and the way you level. That's my suggestion for a beginner, but do what you want. Eventually, once you get everything up to 20, I would say, or not necessarily technique, if you are going a motivity build, I would then suggest getting advanced up to 15 to 20, while then just putting 1 point into each vitality, vigor, capacity, and motivity if you're going for a motivity build. Or if you're going technique, 1 in vitality, vigor, capacity, and 1 in technique. Reason being, health matters in this game. Stamina matters. I know how to manage these a little bit better. Somebody that's new, somebody that doesn't understand maybe how Souls Principles works, might not. That's why I'm trying to give you a little bit of information on it. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to be running through this area fairly fast, collecting stuff. You can always see which ones are actually alive. And then your Robo-Doggos. They pain in the butt. But you're going to want to take care of all this. Right? Everything out here, just click your scroll wheel on your mouse to see what is an active thing, what is an active enemy. There are some active enemies right here. Look, we're going to get right behind them. It's doing that. It does the fatal attack from behind. You're great. My Fable Arts is completely charged. I'll show you the Fable Arts later once we get to the first boss. And again, this is just to kind of help get you through the game easier. Why not give you a little bit of a head start with understanding how gameplay works by collecting everything? I'm not going to really read anything. I'm going to give you that option to do that when you're streaming it or when you're playing it. Who knows? All right? Again, everything helps out. Also, my suggestion, check every area that you can so that you can get as much ergo as possible. Keep your weapon's durability at the max. Fatal attack from behind. So you're going to be getting a lot of useful stuff. Now, mind you, it's going to tell you you can add stuff to your belt or use it by pressing R. You'll get more information on that. And then I forget the distance you can go. This guy's going to come and meet me here. But we're just going to take care of him. You can go this way and I believe find nothing. But this will be a shortcut later that you can use. You'll see that on this side you can't activate it. You can do it from the other side though. Make your life easier. If you can get behind an enemy easily, do it. Sometimes enemies drop things. You just take it. Look, I got another Fable Catalyst. Lovely. So you'll come through and find quite a few phones throughout the entire game. I suggest answering them, seeing what it wants. This one you can activate and see what it's going to do. I would suggest listening to it all because the words have changed on it. So let's go ahead and here's your second elite. He's going to bring in the idea of a Fury attack, which you cannot dodge unless you're far enough away. And you can only perfect attack. I mean, perfect guard to block them. If not, you take the full amount of damage. With a motivity weapon, they are slower, so you want to be conscientious of what you're doing. Let me see if I can perfect block. See, couldn't perfect block it. Perfect block that. He will drop something. You see that all those blocks and damage I did really took away the durability from the weapon. Now you make it go back to full and you're at full durability. Now the more you level a weapon, the more durability you will have. Some weapons you won't have much more, but you still have more. Now remember this area over here? There's going to be something as long as you look for everything that will bring you back here. So just remember this area. And you'll understand once you get to that location. Now, you can make a dash. And then I suggest, because that guy had a pew-pew. Has to reload. And we are almost to the first boss. See him just sitting there? Just drop and hold your attack button. And I'm just doing light attacks because they take so long with the motivity build. Mind you, I'm used to motivity builds. I'm used to every single build in this game by now. Meninges Urgent Repair Tool. That will bring up your weapon durability to max if you break it. That's why I always suggest and you can hit both of them at the same time. Max durability. You'll notice that you'll be sharpening your blade a lot. And bad Robodogu. You did nothing, but you're keeping me from my Fable Catalyst. Alright. Unlock. Oh. Look at here. We're right back over here. Looky that. The circus.
The raid puppet is blocking the entrance, and that's the only way in. So please, be careful.
Bring that up. Now, that guy's a merchant. You're going to have one in Chapter 1. A special merchant that you find in Chapter 4. Black market merchant that sells a lot of stuff in Chapter 5. The merchant at the hotel. 2 merchants at the hotel. 1 in Chapter 9. And then 1 that you obtain in Chapter 11. Not including DLC. Make sure you check everywhere first. Again, you'll want to read that. I suggest talking to him.
Welcome. I didn't think there were any stalkers left to fight the puppets. You didn't hear? Figures. The whole organization fell apart. All that's left are wannabes and amateurs who think they can fight on their own. You ought to buy something while you're at the festival. You can't rely on yourself alone. Out here alone? You can...
Purchase. Now for this boss, what I'm going to suggest to you, buying all three of these, because he's weak to electrical attacks, to throwing cells. And if you're going to try and platinum the game before you get into Chapter 8, I suggest coming back here and buying all 3 of these. And you'll understand once you play the game. Now, mind you, if you try and platinum this game, it takes 2 full playthroughs. Come to the... We're going to level up. Now, we only have enough for 1 level, but we're going to go ahead and use what's in our held ergo. We're going to go ahead and burn it all, and 700 worth. Still just 1 level. Wait, I didn't use it all. My bad. Now we're at 2243. That's 2 levels worth. Again, I suggest Vitality. If you want to, you can just do 1 in Vitality, 1 in Vigor. Now let's see. You're going to open up this. You're going to go to Upper Belt. You're going to put in your throwing cells. And if you want to go ahead and throw more stuff, you're going to go ahead and add in your thermite. You're going to have it where you can go back and forth between them easily with your scroll wheel, and then just activate it by using R. And it throws that at the enemy. The Parade Master. See, 1, 2, 3. Dodge. He's already going into phase 2. We're going to wait for him to pull off his head. Hold block and F to activate your Fable. He does some wicked swings. See how long it takes to charge up at a attack? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. You beat your first chapter boss, chapter 1. Enemy eliminated. You get parade leaders, Urgo, and a quartz. Quartz is what you're going to level up your P organ that you have access to at the end of chapter 2. Now, I'm not going to go much further into this. This is already a pretty lengthy video. I know that it's an hour long, Lathe, and whoever else is watching this, but this is the best way to get going in Lies of P if this is your first Souls-like game. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was helpful. I will say one more thing. Do not use the boss drops of the Urgo that has a specific name like that until you meet your vendor in chapter 4. Now, I can do a step-by-step guide for every single chapter. I have no problem. I've played enough. Won't take me long at all. You just have to let me know. Hope you like it. Everybody have a great one. Stay geeky.